Well, isn't that equivalent for black people saying the N-word, but other races shouldn't use it?
No, because there's two different N-words. Now, I don't want to get into the semantics of it.
Any N-word.
No,
I don't think
it's not.
I'm not going to use the N-word.
I agree, but I'll tell you a story. All right. Well, first of all, there is a difference between Nigger and Nigga. It just is, whether you want to accept it or not.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yeah.
I have never in my life been called a never. I have been called a nigga by my black friends hundreds of thousands of times.
Just because your black friend calls you that doesn't mean that you should be using that word in response. I've been called that by people I've interviewed.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean I'm going to respond.
Well, you can choose not to. That's on you.
I have always chosen not to. You can
Agreed,
look through
100%.
16 years of interviews.
100%.
You've never heard me say it.
But here's the other side of that. When you watch a show like Def Jam, and they say, bitches be acting like this, but niggas be acting like this. At that point, niggas is a substitute or synonym for men, as bitches was for women. He was talking about black women. He's talking about women. And so here's the problem. When you introduce a word into the lexicon and say yourself, it's not that word, then that's what it is. I didn't make the word up. I didn't invent the word to use it. I don't even want to be edgy to use it in the first place. But I'm also not going to pretend that I don't live in a real world where all my black friends call me that way.
Well, yeah, like Latinos have always had this kind of semi-pass for the word. You look at like a Fat Joe, his biggest song, Lean Back,
right,
uses the N-word in the chorus.
That's my point.
I mean, Be Real from Cypress Hill.
Right.
Use the N-word constantly.
That's my point.
You know?
Because we grew up around that and got called that.
You were,
you were the oppressor. So that's
not me personally. I'm an immigrant. You know what I mean?
I know, but the white man was the oppressor, and so that's it.
Yeah.
But
none of my family were part of slavery on any level.
No, I get it.
My family's from the Ukraine. You know, so we were not part of it on any level. But I understand how loaded of a word it is, and I would never use it.
Sure.
If I ever had to use it, I would say the N-word. If I'm rapping along to a song and that word comes up, I will skip that part of the song.
Right.
Now, that's just me.
Right.
That's just me.
Well, there's a joke that I do that I don't say the word, but I spell it out. But it has the same effect because it's more about how we treat each other. And so, actually, it's part of the bit.
Have you had black people at your show be offended by you using that word on stage?
One time.
One time.
One time.
What happened?
So I was performing in, let me remember where it was exactly. It was in Ohio. It was Columbus.
Where they eat the dogs, yeah.
Columbus, Ohio. They were having an urban night, and my friend asked me to, be on the show. I had a show in the other room, and they were doing a show in this other room, and so I said, yeah, sure. When I went on stage, I was like, how y'all doing? And a guy in the back was like, come on, Los, we your people, dog. Don't act like that. And I was like, okay, I knew what he was trying to say. So I was like, all right, man, I'm just so happy to be free and hanging around real people. You my niggas. And a dude in the front row stood up, looked at the audience and said, oh, you just gonna let this nigga say nigga? And then he looked at me and he went, oh shit, I just called, and then he sat down and went, my bad. My bad. And then I just continued with the show. And from that point on, he was just like, God damn, I can't believe I did that. But he proved my point. He proved my point that he sucked me, like he brought me into that world like immediately. He didn't, now maybe if I was white, he wouldn't have said it or different, I don't know. But for me, it's like this. Look, your world, the world that you're describing, it already exists, right? I'm not gonna say this, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna go there. I'm just not. My comedy is about revealing layers of truth that are honest. And yes, sometimes people are gonna get butthurt. I get it. But don't Don't invite me into your world, call me a nigga, and then expect me to look at you and go, yeah, my nigga. It's not gonna happen. We're gonna be authentic to each other. But I'm also never gonna drop a hard R. I'm never gonna go to that place. I'm never gonna do that thing because I know that to me is like, you know, a different thing. We were talking about this in 2008. I was doing my buddy's room in Miami, and we were talking about the difference and who says it and how they say it. And he was like, listen, man, when you're one of us, you're one of us. And if you're not, then we just don't look at you like that. And that's the way it is. So, and I'll give you an example. I cannot tell you why. I cannot tell you how. I don't know. I legitimately don't know where it comes from. I know it's phonetic. I just did research and I couldn't get to the bottom of it. The only people in America that, a lot, by the way, say my name with two N's instead of Mencia, are African Americans. African Americans, in a decent portion of them, will say Carlos Mencia, Carlos Mencinas, not Mencia. Only the African American community does it, and only African Americans, because people like that came from Africa recently that weren't part of the slave trade, they call me Mencia. But American blacks call me Mencina. Don't know where it comes from. Just know where it is. Wish I could do a joke about it. Can't, because I wish there was something to do there that I just can't. But I tried to find out why it happened, where it came from.
I mean, maybe it's like
it's a phonetic thing.
You know
for
how
sure.
like certain black friends of mine will say ax instead of ask.
Right.
Might be like that kind of thing,
or
maybe certain letters. And I remember, I remember my ex. I remember she used to always say ax, and I said, why do you say ax? She goes, I don't know. It just flows off the tongue easier. So I'm like, okay. I just left it at that.
Right.
I never say ax. I always say ask.
Right.
But certain people say ax.
No, listen. What was a punchline? I used to do a joke with a punchline that had that. It was when I started getting crap from New Orleans, because I did a joke, but it was more of a question. And the question was, is it smart to build a city 20 feet below sea level right next to the ocean? Right? That was the question. And I got a lot of pushback. And then this was when Kanye said George Bush hates black people because of his reaction.
Doesn't care about black people.
Or something like that, right? So then they started saying, hey, well, did you hear what Carlos said? So I think the joke was, listen, first of all, I don't talk behind people's backs. I'm a different kind of comedian. Most comedians will do this. Any Asians here? No? Good. Let's talk about them. I'm the opposite. I'm going to go, any Asians here? No? Then I don't want to do jokes about them. Because if I'm going to do jokes, like, think about this. If there's no black people and I start doing N-word stuff, it's going to be like almost a free form and everybody laugh. They're not here. Who cares? I need that person to be there, because the question that you asked was very important. Has anybody ever gotten pissed? Has anybody ever wanted to fight you? That's a real question, right? So I want them to be there so that guy can be there to go, oh, that's what we call him. Shit, I didn't realize it when I thought it. I need that to be a part of it. I need those people to be there. So what I said was, you guys know me. I talk shit to your face. I don't put it aside. I wasn't trying to mess with black people. If I wanted to mess with black people, I wouldn't have asked a question. I would have asked a question. And then it's a huge laugh because everybody has the same thing that you do. But I've done the joke before and I've used that. But that's the kind of stuff, right? You brought it up and said, that's the way it is. So if I'm going to do a joke about it because it exists, it's in the ether. Am I trying to say people that say asks are stupid? No. Am I trying to say anything about their intelligence? No. How they speak? No. I'm just saying they say axe. That's what I would have said if I was trying to fuck with them. It's really simple. I believe that comedy today is the one place where we could get to those spots, to those places. And right now, man, I push the envelope so far, bro. There's stuff that I cannot believe I'm getting away with. Cannot believe. And it's hard to talk about it off stage because the thing is that what I'm doing on stage right now leads to leads, right? The first 20 minutes, as funny and hysterical as it is, take out the laughter. And it's just getting you ready for the last 45. It's literally you preparing you for what is to come, this barrage of truths of stupidity, gullibility, humanity. So it's great, man. I'm loving it. But I don't shy away from real talk and real people and real things.